In this installment, we're going to be going over Monday Night Football matchup. We got the Chicago Bears going up against the New England Patriots. This will be the DraftKings breakdown. Let's get into it. Welcome back to the channel. It's your boy Chef D, and I'm here to bring you the winning ingredients for your Monday Night Football matchup between the Chicago Bears and the New England Patriots. This is going to be a very intriguing matchup. Two defensive teams, and we got Mac Jones coming back. So before I deep dive into that, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. Make sure you follow me on Instagram and Twitter at MessHSD. And also, don't forget about the TikTok at Chef_D91. Don't forget about the Patreon if you want more DFS betting and fantasy football help. All of those links will be provided down below. The first thing we're going to do before we get into total depth of this breakdown, we are going to be looking at the injury report for this game of the Bears and the New England Patriots. Shockingly, this is the first time I've ever seen this. All right, the Bears have no injuries. All right, nothing. They are completely healthy. On the other side, we're looking at the New England Patriots. No one's currently out. No one's currently doubtful. Everyone is questionable. All right, we got Nelson Aguilar, Kendrick Bourne. All these are starters here. Lawrence Guy, we're waiting on more news on him. Mac Jones is trending towards playing. Jalen Mills, the cornerback. Mike Onwenu, and I think that's pretty much it. We got Sean Wade as well, who's going to be another cornerback, but he had an illness, all right, so he might be close to being out. Isaiah Wynn, a starting tackle, is also dealing with a shoulder issue, so they look okay. They look pretty much fine. The key factor would be Mac Jones, but we do remember how the New England Patriots were playing with Mac Jones. They were playing absolutely horribly, and this is going to be his first game back. So it could be a quick rug pull, even though they already came out and said, Bill Belichick said there's no QB controversy. With Bailey Zappi, this team has been 2-0. So Matt Jones coming back in the fold, and now I'm going to look at the captain. So this particular game, we're going to start off at the top. We're going to look at these running backs. We have Ramondre Stevenson at this price of $16,200, a very hefty price to pay. We are going to make sure Damian Harris is fine in this game. And obviously, he will be back. He is returned to full practice Thursday and Friday, so he's going to be fine. So there's going to be split backfield, all right? This is why that price of Ramondre Stevenson is a tad too high, because he's going to be splitting carries. Even though this is a good matchup, if we look at fantasy points allowed to the running back position, this is one of the struggles of the Bears defense, all right? The Bears defense has an outstanding secondary where they limit wide receivers, but stopping the run is a little bit of a struggle. 27th and 29th in the red zone, as you can see. They're allowing 122.8 yards and 4.7 yards a carry, almost a touchdown a game to that running back position. So we can look at Ramondre Stevenson, but I'd rather go down and pay for Damian Harris, because Damian Harris is the starter. Okay, he's going to get the majority of the red zone carry. So I would lean more to Damian Harris in that backfield over Ramondre Stevenson. You're paying full price as like he's just the number one running back and there's no one behind him. All right, so definitely be wary about Stevenson. I would lean more to Damian Harris. All right, so let's continue with the captains. David Montgomery is fully healthy, so he's going to get the bulk of the work. 15 touches, 67 yards. He even saw a reception last week against Washington. If we're looking at fantasy points allowed to running backs, Patriots are number one. So this is definitely not one of my favorite plays, but we do have to factor in the Bears are a running team, all right? They're a running team. They're going to be relentless in running the football. David Montgomery is still going to be someone that we can consider as the captain, but also not only him, he's going to be running the ball. Montgomery's going to be running the ball, and Justin Fields is going to be running the ball. So we've seen a ton of carries from Justin Fields, as you can see, 8, 7, 8, and 12 in the last 5 weeks. So Justin Fields is going to see a major workload as well. They can't stop both of these guys, especially Justin Fields. In broken plays, Justin Fields is absolutely dynamic. He's going to find seams and create big rushing lanes. All right, Justin Fields has huge upside. as a rushing QB. That's something you cannot game plan for. Justin Fields is just next level at that. That's the only bright spot that we can see, even though he's getting a little bit better, trending towards throwing the ball a little bit more. In the past 3 games, we've seen 174 yards, 208 yards, and 190 yards passing from Justin Fields. So that is a positive sign from him. If we're looking at fantasy points allowed to the QB position, the Patriots are going to be, I think they're middle in the pack, all right? So they're 18th overall, but 26th in the red zone. This could be a huge bump for Justin Fields, who needs to convert in these red zone scenarios. So we'll put David Montgomery in here, and we'll also put Justin Fields in here because of the rushing upside. This is going to create a lot of problems for that New England Patriots defense, all right, who's been salivating over their last couple matchups. But this one is going to be a little bit more difficult. And despite the fact Justin Fields creates his own issues with throwing the football, he always comes up with a big play here and there, especially with his legs. So Justin Fields is going to be viable at that captain position. Mac Jones, we're going to stay away from. This is his first game back, and he's had a ton of struggles in his first 3 games of the season. That's why they started out 0-3. Technically, 1-2. Mac Jones has played poorly. We will see what happens in this game, in his first game back. He has 5 interceptions already in 3 games. So we can look at that Bears defense, but we'll talk about them more in the flex area. The next guy we're going to talk about will be Jakobi Meyers. He's the number 1 wide receiver for this team, and as he had solid production all year long, as long as he's healthy, he's going to be that number 1 guy. All his games are over double-digit fantasy points, so that is a plus sign for Jakobi Meyers. Definitely someone we can look towards. But you do have to remember, fantasy points allowed to the wide receiver position, the Bears are top-notch. Okay, so definitely watch out for all these wide receivers here. Chicago Bears are right here, 4th ranked and 10th in the red zone. Okay, only allowing 127 yards to wide receivers, 0.3 touchdowns a game to wide receivers as well. But definitely have to mention their bulk of targets guy right here is Jakobi Meyers. So definitely watch out for him. I'm not sure if he's going to get in the end zone, but he's going to see the volume. Next guy we're going to look at is Darnell Mooney. Things are trending higher and higher for him, okay? We saw an okay game. He finally got a deep ball in week 5, and he got a deep ball in week 4. But we finally saw a raise in targets and actual number 1 wide receiver work against Washington, where he had 7 receptions, 12 targets, 68 yards. Didn't get in the end zone, but we saw positive signs. And if we're looking at fantasy points allowed to wide receivers, the Patriots are middle of the pack, 13th overall, 21st in the red zone. So maybe this can be the game where Darnell Mooney finally gets in the end zone, scratches that itch, and continues to propel himself to being a top 25 wide receiver, which he was last year. So Darnell Mooney has upside in this game. This is a better matchup for him than a lot of the games that he had already this season against Green Bay, against the Giants. Those are tougher teams secondary-wise, and against San Francisco. So this should be a better matchup for Darnell Mooney. He's going to be my last captain pick for our lineup builds. We're going to clear out these captain options, and then we're going to move over to our flex. The first flex guy we're going to look at in our lineup builds will be Tyquan Thornton. All right, they do have Devontae Parker, who's played solidly, but we're going to see how he acclimates to Mac Jones. He saw a very positive game script against Baltimore. So Devontae Parker is a mention here at 7K, and also Tyquan Thornton. All right, Tyquan Thornton definitely paid off the fact that they were pretty injured at that wide receiver position last week, and he got a nice bit of run here, 4 for 5 for 37 and a touchdown, 3 of 16 with 1 rushing touchdown as well. That was encouraging to see that they ran the ball with him as well. He's a very, very dynamic speedster at that wide receiver position. So I expect them to use him in a multiple facets. And in these 1-game showdown slates, you definitely got to use the guy that you're going to use play in creative fashion, all right? Like a Braxton Berrios or Rashid Shaheen on the Saints, who's just a speedster, and he was able to get back-to-back touchdowns in 2 weeks in a row. These guys that can stretch the field, something like a Mecole Hardman. He had 3 touchdowns the other day. these guys are going to be game breakers. So we definitely have to mention Tyquan Thornton. He has the upside to take any pass or run to the house. So definitely have to mention him. Let's continue to go down the line here. Khalil Herbert is the number 2 running back. He is still getting work. He was able to pop off a big run against Washington. He could definitely do the same thing against the New England Patriots. He's a very, very good backup running back here. He's trying to fight for a number 1 spot, but as long as David Montgomery is healthy, he's going to be fine. Definitely have to mention Khalil Herbert because of the amount of rushing that the Chicago Bears is going to do, no matter what game script. Similar to the Atlanta Falcons, okay, in those regards. If we're going to continue down the list, I don't want to go down to a third wide receiver in New England. I would stick with Devonta Parker, Jacoby Myers, or Tyquan Thornton. Those 3 guys I would focus my lineups on if I wanted to play those wide receivers. We're going to continue down the list. The Patriots defense is going to be viable because of the mistakes Justin Fields can create. So obviously turnovers can be a problem for Fields. And if we're looking at fantasy points allowed defenses here, the Chicago Bears are bottom ranked because of the turnovers. All right, so 20th ranked. You want to play your defenses going up against the Chicago Bears. All right, that's what that means. All right, so 3.8 sacks they're allowing. They're allowing for fumble recoveries. They're allowing. So all these are ways to get your fantasy points for your defense. Patriots have been solid the past 3 weeks, 13, 22, and 11 in a game that I think is going to be low scoring anyway. Any turnover can provide huge upside, all right? So next we're going to look at, for the Chicago side, will be Cole Kmet, all right? One of the weaknesses on the Patriots is that tight end position, all right? And this is a perfect game for their dynamic tight end and Cole Kmet to break out. And we're looking at Patriots fantasy points allowed to tight end position, 24th overall and 31st in the red zone. So we could finally see Cole Kmet get in the end zone this year. Does he already have a touchdown? No, he doesn't. So Cole Kmet, this can be a breakout game for him. I expect a double-digit fantasy performance from him. Definitely cheaper and is going to be lower owned because people do not believe in the Chicago offense. But Justin Fields is magical. All right, it could be horrible, or he can turn things around, create with his legs, and provide big plays to Darnell Mooney, Cole Kmet, and David Montgomery. Those are the 3 guys you want to focus on in Chicago. All right, Dante Pettis was able to get a touchdown last week. Had a great game. 4 for 7 targets, 84 yards, and a touchdown. That came out of nowhere, as you can see. He had 0 through 4 weeks in a row, and then had 12 in week 1, and then 18 against Washington. So this is a total flip of the coin as a bottom flex play here if you want to go that route and Dante Pettis. The more consistent out of the wide receivers was Economy St. Brown. He was getting consistent targets from weeks 1 through 5, as you can see. 2, 4, 3. We're getting a little bit more pass volume from the Chicago Bears offense. This New England Patriots run defense is pretty stout, so it might force Justin Fields to throw the ball just a little bit more. All right. If we're looking at tight ends on the other side, the New England Patriots, they do have Hunter Henry. He was able to come through with a touchdown. The week prior, Jonnu Smith was supposed to be out, but he still played, and Hunter Henry still had a great game. Hunter Henry is still the guy that they look towards in the red zone, okay? So I have no problem going with Hunter Henry at 7,500. You want to save salary, avoid the wide receivers on the Patriots side because of the Bears' stout defense against wide receivers, and just go with their tight ends. They have plenty of tight ends. They got Hunter Henry, and they have Jonnu Smith, who's down here, okay? So this is a way we can be very creative, all right? Avoid the wide receivers, go with the tight ends, all right? They throw to the tight end position at a very high clip. Jonnu Smith came in week 6, 2 receptions, 2 targets, 61 yards. He is fine and he is healthy. He's a very dynamic tight end. That's the reason why they paid both of these guys in this past offseason, all right? If we're looking at kickers and defenses, let's clear out some more guys so we can fit in kickers and defense and then see if we can find more punt plays here. Nick Folk and Cairo Santos are going to be viable. If we're looking at fantasy points allowed to kickers, the better matchup, I believe, is for Cairo Santos. So we're going to flip this around. As you can see, we're looking for Patriots, and we're looking for Bears. They're right neck and neck with each other, okay? Allowing around 6 points a piece to that kicker position. So both of these guys are going to be viable. I don't see a lot of points scored in this game in particular, and these guys might struggle in the red zone areas or areas on the other side of their opponent's field, and they're just going to go with the easy points. All right, in tight matchups, just kick the field goal and move on. Both of these guys are averaging around 8 fantasy points a game anyway, so I have no problem going that route. And Bears defense can be very sneaky. I like them in this matchup because of Mac Jones. All right, Bailey Zappi played fine. Mac Jones has a turnover problem. He has this, I don't know what's going on in this second year where he's trying to force the ball down the field, but this is not the defense to do it against. All right, this team already has 5 interceptions this year, and they already have 11 sacks. So they're coming after guys and playing very solidly. This Bears defense is not to be slept on in this slate. So I like them at their price of $4,000. If we're looking at other pass catchers, I want to stay away from Velus Jones. And below the defenses and tight ends, I would go the furthest would be Jonnu Smith. Other than that, I would stay away from all these guys down below $1,000 in salary. Jonnu Smith would be the lowest I would go. Okay, so let's clear this out and go with the mandatory guys we need to have in each and every one of our lineups. Number 1 is Justin Fields because of his upside with the legs. He creates too much opportunity with his legs. All right, so Justin Fields, guy has the arm and has the leg upside. Damian Harris is the running back we're going to go with. Chicago struggles against the running back position. I love Damian Harris in this matchup. He's going to be lower on. People are just going to go to Stevenson, but the number 1 running back in this offense is Damian Harris. All right, so I'm going to stick with these 2 guys. All right, this is a very ugly slate here. It's probably going to be low scoring. We're sticking with Fields and Harris and then build around these guys, right? Defenses are viable and kickers are viable in this matchup, all right? So thank you guys for tuning in. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. Make sure you follow me on Instagram and Twitter at MessageSD, and I'll be back with another video very soon.